Hello everyone. The title of our paper is Immersive VR Modules for Construction Safety Education of Generation Z Students. My name is Salman Azhar. I'm a faculty member at Auburn University. My co-authors are Dongnyeok, who was an undergraduate student at Auburn and currently working in Korea, and my colleague from Tuskegee University, Swarnali Dastider. The outline of our presentation includes its background. After that, I will cover research aim and objectives, which will be followed by research design. Then I will show you 3 short videos of the VR safety modules, which we have created as part of this research. And then it will be followed by results and brief conclusions. Most of the undergraduate students in our universities belong to Generation Z. And we all know that Generation Z is very tech savvy and they are very well connected with the technology. These students are active learners and they prefer digital tools to be part of the learning process. Most of the time, they hate traditional classrooms and instructions through PowerPoint presentations. So they desire hands-on experience and something where they can learn from their experiences. So when these students are placed in traditional classrooms where instructions are either delivered orally or through PowerPoint presentations, they felt very bored and they are disengaged and do not learn effectively in these courses. Number of research studies have been conducted about the challenges which Generation Z is facing in higher education. And some of the points which we learned through those research studies include, first of all, how to actively engage the students in the learning process. Second, how their learning aptitude and knowledge retention could be enhanced using different strategies. And thirdly, how to connect their academic and personal experiences, because that's the way they want to learn. Now, once we talk about construction education, there are a number of courses which are typically considered as dry in construction. And construction safety is one of those courses. Most of the construction safety classes are delivered through PowerPoint presentations, and they consist of interpretation of 2D drawings and different safety rules and regulations. For most of the students, visualizing those drawings and identifying hazards is very challenging. For example, on this slide, you can see the 2D side view versus a 3D side view. And one can quickly determine that a 3D side view is more easy to analyze and understand. Another issue which most of the instructors face that they cannot provide any hands-on experience to the students. So students, although they can understand different rules and regulations, but they do not know clearly how to apply them. So once we conducted this research, that was our main aim. We wanted to use modern technologies such as virtual reality to create hands-on modules which can provide active learning environment to the students. So we conducted this research with 3 objectives. First was to investigate and identify the most needed safety education topics which can be benefited from immersive learning environment. Secondly, we wanted to create safety modules which are very well knitted with OSHA rules and regulations. And thirdly, we want to test them in active environment to see engagement of students as well as construction workers. So in this research, first of all, we started by talking with a couple of local construction companies, and our aim was to identify the safety training topics which could be benefited from the modern technology. Once those topics were identified, then we created 3 different VR safety modules, and thirdly, we tested them and collected students' feedback through a questionnaire survey. So for creating those modules, first of all, we created the 3D models in SketchUp and Revit. Then these buildings or models were exported into Unity, which is a 3D gaming engine. We also imported different assets such as construction elements, cranes, guardrails into Unity. From there, we created a storyboard and developed a 5 to 7 minutes animation. Once the animation was developed, it was tested and refined, and then it was converted in for a virtual environment using Oculus Go as a virtual headset. And then we provided it to the students in a safety classroom where they tested it and provided us their feedback. So the first module which we created was based on confined space safety. We found that providing safety training for confined space is one of the most challenging topic, and even construction firms are not able to properly provide the real life experience to their workers. So once this module starts, first of all, students have to select the correct PP for confined space. Once they select it, then they are pushed into a virtual environment where they have to walk an underground tunnel, which is carrying different gas and water pipelines, and they have to identify different hazards in a gaming style, such as smoking hazard, chemical hazard, electrical, and so on. And for each hazard, once it is properly identified, they get certain points. So that keeps them motivated into the VR game. So let me quickly show you that how the game is played. So first of all, as I told you, they have to select the proper PPEs. Once that is selected, then they are ready to go into the confined space. So once they hit the next button, they will find themselves into the confined space. So this is the first screen which is telling them that they have to identify 6 different hazards. So that's showing the confined space, showing the gaming controllers. They can walk into different areas, and as soon as they identify a hazard, they can click on it and it provides them some feedback about the hazard. For example, here you can see some smoke is coming. So it may be a broken pipe. They can identify it and then they can move on to find out the next hazard. Second module was based on scaffold safety, and we developed it in a slightly different way. It starts by selecting the correct PPs, but then students work on scaffolding and it guides them about different OSHA rules and regulations. And towards the end, students have to take a quiz which they, assess their knowledge retention. So here you can notice that once the module starts, students can walk into the virtual environment, which is scaffolding. And as they are walking, it provides them different uh, instructions and different rules and regulations. So that's the way they can learn about it. And as I told you that towards the end, they have to take a quiz. The third VR module is about site cleanup safety. So as workers are walking on the construction site, they have to come across different dangerous materials and different hazards. So this module teaches them that how they can identify the dangerous materials, and if there are any recyclable materials, what's the best way to collect and recycle them. And again, towards the end, they have to take a quiz. So you can notice this is the virtual environment where a student worker is moving. They can see different construction workers working on the job site. And as they move on, they can see some material which may be present on the site. So they have to determine that what to do with that material, whether it should be recycled or it should be placed in the dumpsters. For saving time, I will not show you the rest of the video, but I will make sure that these videos are placed on YouTube channels where you can watch them. So as I told you that once the 3 modules were shown to the students individually, then we collected their feedback by a questionnaire survey. So the first question asked about the overall VR effectiveness. So we asked them 9 different questions and collected their feedback on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 is the worst score and 5 is the best score. So for most of the areas, you can see that the mean score ranges between 4 to 5, which tells us that overall students found VR very effective in conducting construction safety training. After that, we collected their feedback about different individual VR modules that we have developed. And again, for most of the modules, we found that students were very satisfied and they found it very interesting and engaging. There were also some limitations of the VR headsets. For example, some students found motion sickness. They felt that resolution was not good and it needs to be further improved. They also found that if they're using other mobility controllers such as Xbox controller, it is more easy to move into the virtual environment. So we noticed these limitations and we try to improve them in our ongoing research.